Welcome to Bitcoin Center Radio, recorded live from downtown Miami's expanding business district.
And we are live, guys. Welcome to episode 1 of Bitcoin Center Radio. We are joined today by none other than Eryka Gemma, the CEO of the Bitcoin Center Miami, who is reporting live from the actual ground zero of coronavirus in the United States. That will be King County, Washington. Eryka, thank you so much for joining us today. How's everything looking out there right now?
Oh, things out here are definitely crazy. They just released a bunch of kind of like people that were in jail that maybe were not convicted yet. They're getting released now. Just the other day, there were some stores that were trying to be robbed and via gunpoint. I mean, the shelves are empty. There's no ammo. There's no water bottles. People are definitely freaking out here.
Jesus. Oh my God. It's really all starting to come apart, folks. But we'll touch on that and, how Bitcoin is the answer to that in a little bit. Eryka, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background and how did you first get involved with Bitcoin and crypto?
Yeah, so my story is probably similar to many people's. I was really interested in politics. I campaigned for Ron Paul back in 2012. I was 19 years old and really wanted to understand how politics worked. I remember watching TV and looking at these politicians and thinking like, man, these guys are lying to me. And so I was complaining to a friend about it. They showed me a Ron Paul video and I was forever hooked. It was through that group of liberty-loving, open-minded people that I had learned about Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I didn't buy back then because I might not be around anymore, but things definitely pan out the way that they're supposed to. And so after that, I'd always liked aviation and airplanes. So I went to a school called Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University where I got a degree in aeronautics. But while I was in college and doing, technical stuff, I still would host like economic debates on campus, Austrian versus Keynesian economics. I would do speech series about the corruption of the mainstream media, just really trying to bring exposure to like what I was passionate about, even though I was in a very technical school. And then after I graduated from school, I worked for a big bank. It's called CIT Bank in their aircraft leasing division, which is essentially buying, selling, trading commercial airplanes. And I remember very distinctly one day we had this big conference call with the CEO of CIT Bank. And it's this guy named John Thane, and John Thane is a pretty legendary banker. He is the one who did the merger between Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. And so, I think in one day he made $50 million. Deutsche Bank fell like 2 days later, and then he still walks away like scot-free, right? Completely
of course.
Just crooked bankster. But I remember I was in a conference call with him, and he was like welcoming all like the young people. And at the end of the conference call, I was like, it was a Q&A session, like racking my brain for like, what's a good question? And then that's when I remembered Bitcoin. And so I just wanted to ask a good question. So I asked him like what he and his like friends thought about Bitcoin, and every single person in the room laughed at me. And it was a video conference call, so I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then that's when I decided to go back down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I started hosting meetups in my spare time, just like seeing what community was occurring in Miami. And it kind of just like flourished because people, I saw the reaction of people. I met Scott and everybody was really excited for this to happen. And Miami was just in the perfect storm for it. So, and Nick, of course, is very instrumental in Bitcoin centers globally. So he was important in making this happen.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Nick holding it down right now in New York City, which is also not faring too well with the current situation. But for our guests that may not be too familiar with the Blockchain Center, what is the Blockchain Center? What do you guys do? What are you working on? What's your mission? What's your vision?
The Blockchain Center, I think of us mostly as a resource hub for the crypto community. So our main goal really, at this point especially, is just to educate the, 98+% of people that don't know what crypto is. Because then we have the ability to expand the user base for all companies that are using blockchain technology, benefiting the ecosystem as a whole. And I say that we're a resource hub because there's a lot of knowledge that needs to be spread about this, and we are a place that people can physically come to. We're different than a lot of places because it's a decentralized world, but we have a centralized location that people can visit. And for us,
Right.
we definitely care about Miami. right? So our city is the gateway to the Americas, making us an ideal central point for this global technology. So yeah, at the Blockchain Center, we offer a lot of different things. We have co-working options for people. We offer hackathons. We have an incubator and accelerator model. We have technical classes. We have economic classes. We're like a prime place for people to host meetups. And also for companies that want exposure to Miami's crypto market, they'll generally find us. I mean, Miami's a great place for people to host events. So a lot of people will come to Miami looking to get the people in town who already are interested and expose them to our product. And we have those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a real blessing to have the physical space to bring the community together and to be able to, offer so many different resources for people, whether it be, the co-working desks, the education, being an event venue as well, so people can come here to host their own things related to Bitcoin and blockchain. It's amazing. It's definitely great to be here and be part of it.
Yeah, the physical space is the best. I mean, it's like the central meeting point for all people that want to do crypto stuff. I mean, when the North American Bitcoin Conference was in town the other week, everybody was saying like, "Oh, the Blockchain Center, your guys' events are better than the conference," just because you have so many people that are coming out. We're like young people who are just trying to build a community, and that's one thing that I really remember from the days of Ron Paul was that it was so nice to have a community of people that I was surrounded by that understood me and wanted wanted the world to move in the same way that I did. And so that's what we're trying to build here. We're just trying to build community in a world that is increasingly moving online and becoming socially distant, and even more so now that we're mandated to have social distancing.
Exactly. So what are you guys working on right now? And I guess kind of ties into how are we, responding to the current social distancing situation with the push to online?
We have a lot of ongoing projects that are just trying to connect decentralized projects. But the main thing is really just teaching people about crypto, especially now. The Federal Reserve is now going to do, two $500 billion overnight repo operations every day. $1 trillion a day they're going to pump into the repo market.
Jesus.
I mean, there's just so many signals, and gold and silver are going down. But the price you can buy it at on the market, if you're someone who actually has gold or silver to sell you, it is not the price that's listed online. This is a time for Bitcoin to shine, right? Bitcoin is a store of value. It's outside of the control of one single government. The Federal Reserve can print as much money as they want. And the only thing it's going to do is positively affect the Bitcoin price because people aren't going to wake up to that. So for us, it's just like really providing education, base level education as to why Bitcoin is important, because not everybody needs to understand the technical side of things. And then also, because people are not allowed to meet in person anymore because they're afraid that everyone's going to get sick, we're trying to move everything on to the VR world, everything
Right.
virtual. We already have like a VR night every single Friday night just because we, build community around it. It's a nice, fun game night. But now we're really utilizing VR to get people to still stay in touch, but of course, stay safe as well.
Big shout out to the Bits and Tokens team over there pushing hard the VR world. Jerome and Tim and Annalise, you guys got to check us out in all speeds. Basically, what Jerome has done is he's recreated the blockchain center in alt space in a virtual world. So even though we can't, physically be present, throw on your headset, fire up the PC and come hang out online, because the social distancing, it's not going to, hold the community apart. Bitcoiners are no stranger to, decentralization and to making the connections happen online. So we've been ready for this since day one.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our communications already happen in our chat room on Telegram, on social media. Bits and Tokens have done a great job of bringing the VR world together and making sure that everybody knows that you can still access information and community. But it's time now that, technologies like this get tested.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's crunch time. And even though, you kind of look around and it looks like the sky is falling, that everything's falling apart, this is where Bitcoin was birthed from. This ties in directly with Bitcoin's origin story, being a direct response to what happened in 2008, 2009. So as the Fed kind of ramps up their money printer and, the helicopter money starts flowing again, hardcore Bitcoiners, we're no stranger to this. We know what's coming. We know what's going to happen. Bitcoin has been here for, 10 plus years, 11 plus years now, still block after block every 10 minutes. You can't print Bitcoin. We can't print, 1.5, trillion dollars worth of Bitcoin today, but the Fed is going to continue with their, runaway reckless policies. So it's just good to be tapped into what's going on here in these uncertain times.
Yeah, for sure. Because what's wild is that we've already been practicing bad money, poor money practices the Federal Reserve has. And now that we're in a state of crisis, which, there's a lot of agreements, there's a lot of opinions on whether we even should be in a state of crisis now or not. But their back is up against the wall. And it's like all Bitcoiners and people who are interested in economics, we all know that the government and our economy was in a bad position already. We had 105% debt to GDP ratio. We doubled our debt in the past, 12 years now. Mm-hmm. So we already knew we were in a bad position, and we were just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop and for things to really, really hit the fan. And this virus it's two-part, because for one, it pushed things over the edge. And for two, now, instead of the Federal Reserve, instead of these people in power taking the blame for what they've been doing for the past decade and longer, they now can just blame it on the virus, which is frustrating because now nobody has to, know. It's going to be like 2008 again, where nobody really knew what happened until years later. Right now, everybody's just going to be fearful, pointing to the virus as the reason why this is happening. They're introducing, $1,000 universal basic income, basically. They have interest rates at zero. They're full on quantitative easing, helicopter money, 3-month tax holiday. I mean, bailouts, stimulus packages, like you name it. Like the government is pulling all stops right now, and you can't get money out of the ATMs. I have a friend who yesterday said drove to 3 different ATMs, and all ATMs said that you couldn't get money out. I advise people to always have cash on hand, always be prepared, just because we know that we might live in America, but we are not that far away from an uncivilized economy, group of people when things get bad.
Yeah. And, we've seen this happen time and time again with currency crises in Venezuela, with Chile, with Argentina. I think Andreas Antonopoulos tweeted it out the other day. The series of events that's coming, capital controls, limits on cash withdrawals. People think, oh, we're in America, we're the greatest country, we're the richest country alive. It can't happen here. It can't happen to the US dollar. But as the days go on, guys, the petrodollar, it's losing its reserve status. China and Russia have been working on that for years to take away the power from the petrodollar. And like you said, they're gonna blame coronavirus, but really it's the underlying policies of the Fed that are just, oh boy, they're pushing us down a path that doesn't really lead to positive outcome. But we got Bitcoin, baby. Yeah, for sure. Bitcoin fixes this.
Exactly. And Bitcoin, almost sad to say, because it's not like we want Bitcoin, we want an alternative currency, and we want everyone that's currently using the dollar to have, hyperinflationary problems. But it's that Bitcoin, if the dollar was good money, Bitcoin wouldn't matter. And so because the dollar isn't good money, we need to translate to a new system, a new global system that's not affected by one government. It's not affected by one person. It's not affected by, one economy. It's global. And you can't have people controlling the system because it's said so many times that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. So This is why, and it's so wrong that right now or currently the banks have a fractional reserve lending policy to where they're only required to hold 10% of the money that you deposit in the bank. But they just voted, the banking committee voted, and now it's 0%. Starting March 26th, the banks are required to hold 0% of the money that you deposit in the bank, which is why, cash, they're printing so much money that cash would also be irrelevant, but it's better than plastic that to many people represents nothing. So I would say always have bills, small bills, gold, silver, Bitcoin. But one thing that I really want to teach with the blockchain center, and I've been looking into, is how can you send Bitcoin with little to no internet, because then that would make it completely fail safe. So some people in the chat room had sent me some articles that I'm looking into. One is no internet, no problem, how to send Bitcoin by amateur radio. So hopefully we can teach some people how to do that, because when shit hits the fan, I mean, they're already talking about censoring the internet because they're saying that there's misinformation about the coronavirus going on. They're saying that Russian hackers are coming in and putting stuff on social media to scare us and to put misinformation about the coronavirus. So if they can do that, then they could probably shut off the internet at some level. And so we want to be prepared in every single way possible.
Absolutely. We're going back to the 3 Bs, Bitcoin, bullets, and bullion. Get your gold, get your Bitcoin, get your bullets. The lines outside of the gun stores are already crazy. Maybe you could order one online, but I guess shifting to a more positive note, where do you see, I guess, the blockchain center and, the city of Miami? How do you see that transforming in the next 5 years?
I'm really excited for the future of the city of Miami, specifically because, for one, we have a local government that is so on board. When we had the opening of the blockchain center, the mayor of Miami, Mayor Francis Suarez, came out and did a ribbon cutting ceremony for us, gave us an official proclamation, welcoming the opening of the blockchain center. Our landlord is one of the biggest real estate developers in Miami. He is a huge supporter of the blockchain center and what we're doing to bring tech talent to the city. And the city in general, I mean, the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Miami Chamber of Commerce, the Beacon Council, the Downtown Development Authority. These are all government entities that are looking at the blockchain center, and they're happy that we're here and we're a group of young people that are pushing forward. Because the way Miami has typically made its money is as a tourism hub. But we now have an opportunity to become a technology hub. We have low taxes. We have a great standard of life. Not that, I mean, our cost of living in the city is not that expensive. Miami is really a hidden gem. And not to mention, the world is definitely increasingly becoming decentralized. And Miami is the Silicon Valley of Latin America. So I don't see us, taking jobs from New York, taking jobs from San Francisco because we can't compete with the salaries there. We can absolutely compete with the salaries in Latin America. So it's very interesting to see the trajectory of where the city is going. Florida is already the number one state that people are moving to right now. Texas is the number 2 state. And I think that Miami has a lot to offer, and the right people are going to move here at the right time. I'm already seeing it. There's so many companies that are coming here and they're saying, I just moved from New York, I just moved from San Francisco, and they love it there. So tourism into technology, millennial tech hub is the way that we're going to go, and it's going to start with the blockchain center, especially in downtown Miami. Anybody who lives in Miami kind of knows that there's Brickell, which is beautiful, second most international bank in the United States. And then there's downtown Miami, which really has nowhere to go but up right now, but you can definitely see so much potential. And I know Mana and Moshe Mana and his team are doing everything they can to make downtown Miami into the, into the grandeur that it once was. Because Flagler Street, which is where the blockchain center is one of the only streets that survived in the 1920s when the Great Depression happened. And hopefully we can see something like that occur again.
Yeah, I mean, we're already turning the block around, store by store. Big shout out to Johnny Dollar, one of our favorite artists here at the Blockchain Center. What was once an abandoned storefront right across the street, he's transformed it into an art gallery. So we're literally seeing it before our eyes. Definitely excited, to grow with the city of Miami. What are you most excited for in 2020, whether it, be the halving or the election? I mean, there's so much going on this year. What do you got your eyes on?
Yeah, 2020 is a crazy year. I think the halving I'm excited for because I want to see what happens because, obviously right now it's not a normal halving. There is more eyes on this halving than ever have been before. There's a lot of distress around the situation. Specifically, China is a huge producer of the miners. And I know everything in China. Like, I even had the people that I order from Alibaba message me like, oh, we're allowed to work again. Everybody in China is full steam ahead, working at full capacity. But it'd be interesting to see if those new miners come out on time for the pools to be able to be supported. So I'm excited it's happening just to see how Bitcoin gets tested. I really think that with everything that's happening with the dollar, we're going to see a significant price uptick in Bitcoin, and obviously that makes me very excited. And it's not really the price; it's more that when the price goes up, the interest of the people goes up, and that is where it matters to me. And it's not because I want everybody to make money, even though I do. It's that I want to teach them that guess what? Our system that we have been relying on is very flawed. It's hard for people to swallow the pill sometimes. It's a hard pill to swallow for people to think that maybe the world is a little bit staged. Maybe things don't just play out. Maybe there are people in power behind the scenes that are doing things, and maybe the media is just a front to cover us from what really happens. It's hard for people to understand that, like, there's so many newsworthy activities that go on in one day, and what makes it onto the news, it's very small, and also there's money behind that. So follow the money, right? And I think that those are things that people don't really want to open their eyes to. But when it comes to money and when it comes to Bitcoin, and when they see the potential there, then they're a little bit more open to learning that, hey, guess what? The Federal Reserve is not a U.S. entity. And guess what? The banks, you can put money into the bank and they don't have to hold any of it, and they can just print it and make it up out of nowhere. So I really like Bitcoin for that idea. It's not even that I like technology, it's that I like sharing truth, and Bitcoin is a really good way. It's almost like people talk about the red pill and the blue pill, but it's like an appetizer to taking the red pill, and I appreciate that. But yeah, so I mean, and then like the last thing, I'm not really excited for this in 2020 again, but the Federal Reserve is really, really messing with us. The government, they are printing crazy money schemes. Just the other day, they appointed one of the ex-Coinbase councils as the chair of, remember, it's the just some he's like overseeing the comptroller of money. I should remember exactly what it is.
Just Coinbase working with the government even more and more.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
the end of the day.
Coinbase is working exactly, and this individual, Brian, who they had appointed, he has papers published in Fortune magazine about trying to make a digital dollar. So we'll see what happens with that as well. I think that hopefully the only positive side I can see of that is maybe a little bit more transparency as to what money's being printed and where it's going first. But who knows? I doubt the government is going to open up their ledger to us. But mostly I'm just excited because in a positive, there's a silver lining to everything. And I hope the masses wake up to the money manipulation that's been occurring.
It wouldn't be too far-fetched to see a cash ban coming through with, everything that's going on. And this is really going to help, accelerate the push to crypto. And I think China will probably be the first, mover with the digital yuan. And after that, it's just going to be, a domino effect of countries racing to push forward their own digital centralized currencies. And, they could try that, they can attempt that, but either way, it's going to be good for digital assets overall. It's just going to add to the legitimacy of it for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to validate the technology, and really, her money's already digital, so there's nothing different. China's money has been digital, but let's see if they make it a transparent ledger that everyone can view, because that would be interesting. I highly doubt it, but that's the only benefit that I can see come.
Yeah. So even despite everything, there is still a silver lining at the end of the day. Thank you so much for joining us, Eryka. Where can people go to learn more about what's going on at the Blockchain Center?
So the best way you can learn about us is go to blockchaincenter.com. You can follow us on Twitter at BTC Center Miami. You can follow me personally at Bank of Eryka, Bank of ERYKA, because I appreciate teaching people how to be their own self-sovereign bank. And yeah, visit us in person too. We are on Flagler Street in downtown Miami. We are 2 blocks west of Bayfront Park. So such a beautiful hotspot. But definitely come learn more about us. Get involved with us. We're always looking for, new people, new projects that want to get plugged into the Miami ecosystem. We really think that, specifically Bitcoiners, they're generally more forward thinking. Look into it, see if Miami is a place you're going to want to move. But if you come hang out with us, you're probably going to want to move there. We've convinced a couple people already.
I mean, the reports are already coming out that heat and humidity help stave off the virus. So it's an even easier sell now to push the warm climate.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Eryka. It's Matthew Mano from the Blockchain Center and Eryka Gemma signing off here. Stay safe, guys. Thanks again and tune in next time.
Bye.
Strategically located in downtown Miami's emerging business district, the Blockchain Center is the premier hub of the Americas for teaching, networking, and building the distributed future. Our mission is to manifest the mass adoption of blockchain technology and onboard the next 6 billion people to the global monetary revolution.